All right. So from the piece that Dennis Lin put out in The Athletic, there was something on Jackson Merrill. The article, by the way, it's just pretty much getting into a preview of this Padres offseason, some questions that the Padres will be facing. Because sadly, obviously, we're not playing game one of the NLCS today. The Mets and Dodgers are. It's the offseason. And so Dennis Lin writes here, according to league sources, the Padres discussed a potential extension with Jackson Merrill last offseason before he had played his first major league game, but the two sides did not come to an agreement. After the 21-year-old hit 24 home runs and led the team in Fangraphs WAR, the prices jumped. The same is true with Michael King after he was the rotation's most consistent performer in his first year as a full-time starter. So the Michael King thing, yeah, I think that's something that we're probably going to be discussing here in the offseason. Are they going to be able to get an extension done? Because this is a guy that it sure feels like you want in your rotation. And it sure seems like Michael King is someone that has really enjoyed being in San Diego with the Padres, having the Padres be able to trust him. I mean, they believed in him more than the Yankees did, right? Let's be honest. I know the Yankees, they didn't want to part with Michael King, but the Padres were the team that said, no, we're going to have you start. We believe in you as a starting pitcher. And Ruben Niebla and the Padres, it seemed like they did a really good job at protecting Michael King, but also not limiting him and being like, no, this is your limit this year. You're not passing that. No, they judged it as they went along. So we'll see what happens there. But I think we're going to be talking about that at some point here. But Jackson Merrill, okay, so it wasn't reported at the time, but the Padres discussed a potential extension with Merrill last offseason. And let's remember that Jackson Churio did that with the Milwaukee Brewers, and his contract was 8 years, $82 million. He did that in December of 2023. Obviously, he was a rookie this year. And if it wasn't for Jackson Merrill and Paul Skeens, Jackson Churio would be probably the rookie of the year, or definitely up there. He's still going to be up there, but he's not in the conversation. It's really Merrill and Skeens, and then there's the not lower tier. That makes it sound like they're not good, but the tier below the top two, right? I think Merrill's the rookie of the year. Obviously, that is going to be announced, I think, after the World Series during that award week. So with Merrill, that's interesting that they discussed a potential extension before the offseason, or before this season, before his rookie year, and that was before they really knew his role, right? Because he was in left field, he was at short, then left for a little bit, a couple of days. Then they told him to go to center field when they had Profar come in. So I wonder if that price tag changes. Now, it does based on his play, but I was just thinking, does the price tag change, or would it have changed then with his move to center? Were they looking at it as him being a shortstop? Were they just looking at it as him being an important piece to the lineup, right? But now, really, the important question now is, what would an extension possibly look like? So they couldn't get a deal done, but I don't think that's like a sign that it's not going to happen. I think the Padres love Jackson Merrill. The fans love Jackson Merrill. Seems like Jackson Merrill loves this Padres team, loves the organization, wants to win for San Diego. And this guy he fits in perfectly with Mike Schilt, AJ Preller. Notice like the commonality between those two guys, baseball rats, right? Jackson Merrill, that's that guy. That's who he is. He wants to be at the field all the time, listening post-game after that Game 5 loss about how, yeah, he's definitely going to be at the ballpark. He just wants to be there all the time. He definitely was going to be there the next day. Didn't know what he was going to be doing, but he wants to be there. He loves it. And that's someone that you want. And the leadership. And obviously, what's more important is the play on the field, the contributions. And I know it's 1 year, so maybe this is where it's like, you don't have to pay him right now. Let's wait a little bit. But this is still different to me. It feels different than other Padres. I think we can make a comparison between Merrill and Tatis, because Tatis obviously got that big contract from Peter Seidler before he played a full season, and Jackson Merrill played a full season. He didn't go on the IL. So he has that step ahead of Fernando when that contract extension came. But where the Padres are at, would they go give Jackson Merrill $340 million like they gave Nando? Would they do that after his rookie season? Or would this be more of a contract where it's like better than Jackson Turio, and they respect Merrill by, we're not going to have this contract end when he's 30 because teams look at you differently when you're 30 as opposed to when you're 28 going into free agency. So let's say that they want to give him the contract through age 28, and then hopefully they can agree to another contract, but we'll give you through 28. When you're a free agent, you'll still be, in your prime there, and maybe you can land a good contract, another big contract. Hopefully it's with us, but just respecting him that way. So you buy out some years of free agency, and his age next year is going to be his age season 22. So I believe it would be 5 more years left on it, and that would take you through 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. And so he would be 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 years old. So buy out a couple years of free agency. And what you could do is make it a 7-year contract, let's say, and give him what would be fair. So Churio, 8 years, 82 mil. If you're the Padres, you got to give him more than that. What if it's 80 over 7 years? Just start there, and it's a little less than $11.5 million per year. That's obviously more money than what he's guaranteed right now, because injuries could happen, decline in performance could happen. And it feels like he wants to be here as well. Maybe it is going to be a long-term deal. But I'm just thinking of maybe he, still wants to have the opportunity to get a $300 million contract if that's not going to come right now after his rookie year. But he still wants to be here. He wants that security, though, still. So I'm thinking 80 years, 80 million, 7 years. Maybe it has to get up to 100 million. But I don't know if they do 7 years. Maybe it would have to be a little bit longer than that. Because if it's 100 for 7 years, let's say, then that's a little over 14 million per year. And do the Padres, as great as Jackson Merrill is, and how much he is worth that right now, to be quite honest, do they want to be having that on the books for next year with this new contract? Because as of now, next year, I think he would be getting $800,000. That's a big difference. So maybe they wait until after next year to give him a contract so that they can pay him $800,000, let's say, for this coming season, and they get more of a sample size to evaluate, but the price may go up as well. So I do wonder what that price tag would be. I think it's a no-brainer. I don't even think it's a question about should the Padres give Jackson Merrill an extension? Should they make him a Padre for a long time? He said it, I forget when he said it, but it was during this season about him wanting to be here, play along Tatis for the next decade. I think that's what he was saying in one of his post-game interviews, or maybe it was pregame. So he wants to be here. I made a video on it. I know he said that. He wants to be here. So get it done. Maybe it is a long Fernando type contract. Are the Padres in a position to do that right now, though? I think is the big question, because we're seeing, in his rookie year, he had over 20 home runs. He's playing well defensively. He's got the athleticism. He's got the leadership already after his rookie season. In his rookie season, he had that. He says all the right things to the media. He's not, it doesn't seem like he is distracted at all. He is focused on baseball. He is focused on doing whatever he can to help the Padres win. And that's who you want in this clubhouse for years and years and years and years to come. So really, we can talk about the numbers, but what it comes down to is the Padres have to get an extension done with him. Don't know if it has to be now, but they need to get that done. That's where I stand on that.